time is a fantasy comedy. After inadvertently opening an ancient pharaoh's portal, Dylan, a directionless teenager, switches bodies with his archaeologist grandfather Arthur, and together they must prevent the enslavement of the world at Ground Zero, his high school dance. The three sequences tonight focus on the archaeologist grandfather Arthur's obsession with the amulet he discovered 40 years ago. The moon convergence, the simultaneous event of a supermoon, blue moon, and lunar eclipse, occurs 40 years after Arthur's discovery, allowing for the return of Ramses VIII. Dylan's brother Wayne died in a rock climbing accident a year ago after a trip to New York with Arthur. They went to see his prized amulet and to talk the museum curator Bahiti into bringing the exhibit to their hometown. This began the curse of the amulet on their family, and we see it at work in tonight's pages. Please enjoy.
And we'll introduce the cast for John's script. Our main character, Dylan, which you just described, the high school senior, will be played by Royal Cooksey. Dylan's grandfather, Arthur, will be played by Bill Series. As Bahiti, the museum curator, we have Aries Marie. And as Ramses VIII, the villainous pharaoh, we have Bill Baylor. The other Bill. Amunette, the pharaoh's wife, will be played by Nancy Friedrich. Rachel, the high school junior, is played by Pyramid Within. It says guard number 1, Mary Birdsong. And as male servant, the incomparable John Billingsley.
I'll stand right where you're standing.
Watch out for this guy. You'll survive. And our narrator for all of tonight's scripts, reading the action lines and the slug lines and all that other screenplay stuff in between dialogue, is Mr. Key F. Payton. So, take us away.
Ancient Egypt. Interior, Ramses VIII's bedchamber, night. Ramses VIII glares at the gold disc mirror his wife, Amunette, holds up. She runs her free hand through his hair.
There, good Pharaoh. Don't pout. Tomorrow night, Hathor will take away that nasty, wasty wrinkle.
Guard 1 steps inside.
Why do you disturb your god at this unra-like hour?
Forgive me, great and wise Pharaoh. Your sacrificial gift has come bearing a gift.
A gift brings a gift? Please, I want it now.
Guard 2 ushers in male servant.
My great and wonderful and amazing Pharaoh, I apologize for not showing appreciation for your blessings upon me.
You've paid tribute to me. How delightful. Just for that, I'll make sure we place your wife's body where the vultures can't get to it. Any more than they already have. Oh, come on now. We can't have tears. Not when you brought me a present.
Ramses extends his hands. Male servant brings the silk-wrapped object closer. He removes the wrap to reveal a dagger, which he wields to stab again and again. Ramses falls backward, his surprise permanently etched on his dead face. Amunette shrieks as she flails her arm at male servant's back until the dagger in his hand falls out. Amunette seizes it, slits male servant's throat, and shoves him out of the way to lie atop Ramses and wail. Interior exterior, Royal Egyptian litter, night. Amunette holds the mirror to catch what would be the reflection of Ramses, who's not there. To the moon, she uplifts an Ouroboros amulet, which depicts a serpent eating its own tail.
Look upon us, Hathor. I sacrifice myself for my beloved. I go to where we will both breathe no more, knowing that in some time hence the great Ramses VIII will return.
Like a ghostly flame, a moonbeam strikes the amulet. Amulet shudders with pleasure and dread. Jump forward to present day, interior, Appleton High School gym. Day. Students decorate for the homecoming dance. Dylan, a senior, watches Rachel, a junior, blow excess glitter off a moonbeam made of gold fabric. She glances at a sign with overlapping drawings of a supermoon, blue moon, and lunar eclipse, and this message. Welcome back, Ramses. See you at the moon convergence.
What's the point of all this?
You don't like astronomical events?
I know what I mean.
It's mythological. And your grandfather's discovery brought it to life.
Rachel grabs a glitter gun and shows Dylan how to spray gold and silver glitter across the moonbeams.
You don't understand. He's an old man who keeps reliving his glory days from 40 years ago, but I know he's really thinking about my grandma.
She's his true legacy. It's natural for him to think of her.
What's unnatural is he keeps talking about Ramses' amulet and if he ever lays his hands on it again.
You don't actually believe... Does this have something to do with that drawing you won't show me of your grandfather?
Dylan raises his eyebrows and glances at a painting of the moon god Hathor and sees a bright flash, but only he witnesses it. Dylan's drawing of his grandfather flashes on the wall. Arthur wears the Ouroboros amulet, and within his face lies another ghostly one, Ramses VIII. Dylan blinks, and the Hathor painting reappears.
His obsession is unhealthy.
Interior, museum, Ramses VIII exhibit, night. The museum curator, Bahiti, leads Dylan and his grandfather, Arthur, into a large room with artifacts. Arthur gestures toward the gold-lined glass case.
Can I see my lady?
Do you remember the first time you laid eyes on the amulet?
Strangely, I don't.
But you remember everything else.
Your grandfather borrowed it when he first made his discovery.
I gave it back to... I'd always intended to give it back to you.
Dylan blinks and flash. In his drawing, a ghostly Ramses VIII now replaces Arthur's real face. Dylan blinks again and just sees Arthur.
Grandpa, the kid in your book is also obsessed with an amulet. He sounds an awful lot like Wayne.
You actually read my book? But it's not necessarily your brother. It could be you.
I never met this grandson until today. A year ago, you brought the other to New
That was right before Wayne went on his rock climbing trip.
Okay. I took him to the museum there. We talked Bahiti into bringing the exhibit here. I didn't think you'd be interested.
You never asked. Before he went rock climbing, he wouldn't eat and he stared into space, kind of like you are right now.
Arthur drifts beside the amulet in a trance.
Just as beautiful as I remembered. Do you mind, my friend?
Bahiti studies Arthur and places her thumb on a scanner beside the case, which opens it.
Only one person's getting in there.
Bahiti dons a pair of gloves, and Arthur puts on his too. She removes the amulet and places it carefully in his hands. Arthur is mesmerized, which startles Dylan.
Art, how far you think you can get with it?
Grandpa?
Oh, apologies. I was daydreaming. I could see the amulet just appear around my neck.
Dylan grows uneasy while Arthur hands the amulet back, as if separated from a child. Bahiti lays the amulet back in its case and closes it. She removes her gloves and retrieves Arthur's.
It won't be able to get you from inside the case.
Forgive me, my friend. It seems I long to relive my adventures.
Some things are better left in the past. It's almost time. Have you rehearsed your speech?
You know, I like to improvise.
Interior, Appleton Museum, auditorium, night. Arthur stands next to Vahidi, off to the side of the stage. She strides to the podium microphone.
Thank you all for coming to the 40th anniversary of the incredible discovery of Ramsay VIII's tomb. The archaeologist who unearthed it is here and has written a memoir about it and about his afterlife being an author of fiction. Before I bring him up, I'd like to say a few words about the mythology surrounding Ramses VIII. It centers around his magnificent amulet.
Vahidi waves her hand, the lights dim, and a close-up photo of the artifact projects against the wall to her right. Audience members crane their necks to gaze in wonder at the ivory serpent eating its tail against a gold background with the silver eye of Horus in the middle.
It bears the Ouroboros symbol, representing the ancient Egyptian belief that life is an eternal cycle. We merely transmigrate from one body to another.
Vahidi directs her attention to Arthur and does a double take because Arthur's body seizes up. Under duress, he still smiles and nods for her to continue.
Arthur's an old friend, but I knew Miriam, his late wife, first, and we wouldn't be here without her.
Arthur struggles to breathe. Vahidi mouths, "Are you all right?" He gives her the okay sign.
She told me her boyfriend at the time was about to make an incredible discovery. And I laughed at her. And no one's laughing now. Please welcome your hometown hero, Arthur Sullivan.
The audience applauds as Arthur takes Vahedi's hand and steps up to the podium.
Thank you. Thank you. It means so much to speak with you. I've had many adventures, and my readers have allowed me to continue with them in my books.
Arthur's bearing shifts. He alone witnesses how a golden mummy levitates and spreads its wrappings. Arthur's golden eyes glow, and his posture becomes erect.
Bring me back, Amunet. I have come full circle, and I'm ready to reclaim my throne.
Nervous laughter breaks the dead silence. The crowd gasps because Arthur collapses. And end of scene.